Come, let us explore how veganism could enhance our meditation. Together, let us relaxingly recite. In late-stage capitalism, there are many who have a vested interest in keeping us locked in the frenzy of various iterations of the kill or be killed mindset. Come, let us wax subversive. For although the United Nations explained it would take $6 billion to end world hunger, compassion is not an exclusive club with an entrance fee or a 2-drink minimum. In fact, some of the most compassionate things we could do merely involve our consumer choices. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is comprised of the mental kindness of intention, the interpersonal kindness of communication, the physical kindness of conduct, and the circumstantial kindness of commerce. However, there is nothing kind about using our consumer choices to coerce an underpaid worker, to exploit, no less slaughter living beings, because we want a snack. On average, worldwide, every day, a vast ocean of sentient beings is murdered. More than 900,000 cows, 1,400,000 goats, 1,700,000 sheep, 3,800,000 pigs, 12 million ducks, 202 million chickens, and hundreds of millions of fish. Each of them yearning to live and not die, just like us. Through the convenience of a cruelty-free diet, we get to exercise greater compassion to the environment, to non-human animals, and, if we consume a whole food vegan diet, to this very body which supports our meditation. And even though we could watch the video Dominion, and 101 other videos that could pull at our heartstrings. Remember, we are already wired to love. Every time we put a rabbit and an apple in a playpen, the human child always pets the rabbit and eats the apple. We are natural-born herbivores. It is only our amygdala that makes us aggressive. And the more we authentically practice mindfulness and meditation, even as little as once every 12 hours or so, the more we will calm the anxiety and aggression of our survival-oriented amygdala and stimulate the empathy of our anterior cingulate gyrus. This is why the Buddha taught mindfulness and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, it's time for us to shift gears. It is Yoda Monday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's practice, let us play with the latest iteration of Easy Tao. Let us chant. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that each may be empathetic, centered, and spontaneous. Let us chant a passage, a selection from the 15th chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Yet like muddied water, when still they the masters become clear. When in quietude they gradually are stirred by centered spontaneity to action. So that's what we're going to practice right now. Every time we inhale, we are already wired to perceive. To cooperate with this process, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Every time we exhale, we are already wired to release and relax. The way we can cooperate with this is by silently and mentally reciting the word yes. One moment. So together, let us play with this right now. And what I'd like to do, well, let's continue. Yes does not mean we agree. Yes just means that we are moving to accept. For instance, we might observe that we're sitting. Yes, we are. We might feel uncomfortable. Yes, we do. We might observe something in the news that we don't like. Yes, we don't like it. So let's explore this for a moment. Oh, how very, very funny. So someone just left a message and then left the live stream almost immediately after. Oh, how courageous. So actually, meat is not pretty good. Meat is hard on the planet. Animal agriculture is hard on the planet. It's hard on the animals, and it's hard on us. Meat is very efficient to promote colon cancer. If someone is concerned about flatulence, one converts to a whole food plant-based diet. Within 7 days, your body will adapt to the increased amount of roughage. And now let's return to meditation. As we sit in meditation, it is conceivable, well, let me rephrase this. Every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. We are wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, and scents. We are also wired to notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. All this, so our job is not to practice concentration, but to practice the mindfulness that is completely vulnerable to the present moment. Whether that present moment is exploring something external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. So it's conceivable we could, as we sit in meditation during our inhalation, we might notice a memory. We might notice an incident that was painful. We might notice emotions. We might notice rage on our part. As we exhale, by silently and mentally reciting yes, we're being honest with ourselves about what we're feeling. And the irony is that by practicing this vulnerability and honesty and harmony, whether inhalation or exhalation, it makes acting on even the darkest of rage impossible. What I'd like to do is read a passage from the Tao Te Ching, the 61st chapter. This is using the translation of Dr. Rosemary Anderson. A great country is like a low-flowing river and becomes the convergence of the world, the female of the world. So this is using female figuratively as the reproductive recipient. And what we're being told is that the key to a city-state's prosperity is being receptive to commerce and a flow of people and the flow of commodities. Similarly, when we are resistant to life, uh, our experience is one of emotional deprivation, whereas if we are open to life, our experience is much more fulfilling. Let's continue with the same chapter. The female ever conquers the male through stillness. In stillness, she acts the lower. A great country lowers itself to a small country and thus conquers the small country. So, all things being equal, 9 times out of 10, the typical woman is typically smaller and physically weaker than a typical man. However, a wise woman is, all things being equal, is able to, according to this passage, um, conquer her man's tendencies to be rigid and fearful and controlling and elitist and um, competitive and even cruel by energetically setting space to be the opposite, to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, cooperative, kind, lucid, and the like. Um, all things being equal, this has a bit of a quote unquote charming effect. We don't need to stomp and snort our way through life. We can move through life in a way described as being simple and this has been said that the three treasures of the Tao are simplicity, patience, and compassion. And that by gently moving this way through life, we can have a charming effect on others. And a charming effect, I don't mean the way an unethical salesman or con man might try to charm your money out of your pocket, but we just speak to the better angels of those around us. Let's continue. A small country, being lower, conquers the great country. Some lower themselves to rule, and others are lower and are conquered. So, whether we are talking about individual humans or small or countries, the country that, according to this passage, the country that is more yin will eventually triumph. Now, just as the yin and the yang has a dot of the opposite color in each side, the white teardrop has a black drop, and the black teardrop has a white teardrop. In the short term, sometimes the individuals that are more yin or the countries that are more yin are temporarily conquered. A great country's desire is to unify and feed people. A small country's desire is to join and align with others. Both get what they desire when the great rightly acts the lower. Things are not always going to go our way in every situation and in every instance. Life is a mixed bag. But in the long term, life is going to work out much better if we convert from rigidity to flexibility, from fear to love, from superstition to rationality, from controlling tendencies to being laid back. If we switch from being cryptic to being lucid, if we switch from being competitive to cooperative, if we switch from being elitist to egalitarian, if we switch from being cruel to being kind, in the long term, our life is going to be much more fulfilling. Let's continue. But before I do, allow me to explain. In the center of our brain, we have a survival mechanism known as the amygdala. It is considered to be the seat of anxiety and aggression. When it is in the driver's seat, we are just going to be all that much more yang, all that much more rigid, fearful, controlling, superstitious, cryptic, elitist, competitive, and cruel. However, there's also a much larger structure called the anterior cingulate gyrus that is the seat of empathy. And when that's in the driver's seat of our life, we're going to find ourselves being more flexible, loving, rational, laid back, lucid, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. So the rational question is, what can we do not only to get that empathy to be the driver of our life, but to make that a habit that is easy to do. And the thing is, quite simply, we're already wired to be that way. All we need to do is cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system during each inhalation by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this as we perceive, as we notice. And silently and mentally recite the adverb yes during each exhalation as we release and relax. Consider, if you will, the symbol of Taoism. Imagine, if you will, a great hulking ox. Upon its muzzle is no bit. In its mouth is no bit. On its face is no bridle. On its haunches is perched a frail old man. In his hand is found no reins. How does the old man guide the ox? He doesn't. He simply goes along for the ride. The man or the woman of the Tao does not try to control anything. He or she simply goes along with the ride. They harness their loving, centered spontaneity to go with the flow. As we inhale, let us continue to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the adverb yes. Let us chant. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that each may be empathetic, centered, and spontaneous. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.